Good afternoon, and welcome to our spiritual gathering. If I look like I'm distracted, it's because lights seem to be dimming and getting brighter and darker here, and I'm not sure why, but the cat just ran under the desk, so all things are possible. At any rate, I believe I'm here. I believe I'm on, and I hope you're here as well. Hello, Heidi. Good afternoon to you too. That's okay. It and our bodies think it's still morning, don't we? Our bodies think it's 11 o'clock, and so do all my pets, incidentally. But here we are, and according to a joint agreement with most of the rest of the world, now an hour later, earlier. There's an hour's difference between this time yesterday and this time today. Stunning day. Yes, it is a beautiful day, isn't it? Isn't that nice? We love that. Hello, Jennifer. I'm glad that we are here. I assume that also means your wonderful husband. That's a good way. Or is it you and God? Because that's my favorite way of all. Not that I don't like you and your husband. I love you both. You know that. Sunday morning, first day of daylight savings time, March 14th, 2021. I wonder, asked us 10 years ago where we would be on this Sunday morning slash afternoon, depending upon whether you're talking to your body or your clock, if this is what you would have said. I wouldn't be too far off, I think. I'd probably say I'd be talking. Guess that's a safe bet with me. Jennifer, all three of you are there. Perfect answer. Perfect answer. Your daughter's anniversary today. How sweet. Happy anniversary, Sabrina. I was just about to talk about you in good ways. Yeah. You're very welcome. I prayed with New Jersey on my screen. And then you sent me those two beautiful pictures. And but it may have been cold, but boy, it was clear. So, yay! you, oh, oh, we are so happy, and I just can't tell you how thrilled I was to get those pictures. Well, I know I mentioned it, but oh, yay! And it's Sabrina's anniversary today, so this is obviously a good time of year to get married. All the good people are doing it, did it, whatever. Is it Sunday yet? Yes, Kirk, it is Sunday indeed. You lose the whole day. Okay, so it is Sunday. It is 12:04 according to my now adjusted time. Um, we've got most of the clocks in the house reset except one. And it was kind of funny this morning because, of course, that was the one I kept looking at and thinking, that can't be right. Um, so, yes, it's Sunday. Come join us. You're here. That's what matters. See, you know it's Sunday. Silly you. Silly you. Lainey's checking in and giving a wedding report. The weather was beautiful. I didn't worry about the night before. Maybe I should have. Well, it probably just kind of brushed everything clean and made the air clear. Yay, I love when that works. I just love. And it never fails to thrill me when it feels like prayer has worked and is doing good in the world, even relatively I'm not going to say unimportant, but something that seems relatively small in the grand scale of things, weather for a wedding. And yet, that was very important to some people that I dearly love. And it's fun to feel like you're part of it. And it is fun to watch prayer work. Oh, it is so much fun to watch prayer work. Your microwave will catch up, Kurt. It'll catch up. They always do. Sooner or later. A little laying on of hands sometimes works to encourage them. And if that doesn't work, a little laying on of foot sometimes works extremely well too. I better quit before I get any farther behind. Oh, so here we are. Here we are. Yay. In beautiful, sort of sunny, trying to be sunny, Southern California. It's a little overcast here right now. It was beautiful about an hour ago, but it looks like it's clouding up, so who knows? It's cool. Cool in that weather kind of way, as opposed to in that, then what do you say, hip? No, those words are, oh God, I'm dating myself. Let's quit. I'll just move right on. Oh, hello. Good morning to your bodies, which still think that it's an hour earlier than the clock says it is, and good afternoon to your clocks that have all, or most of which, have been reset, and they know what time it is. Yes. Does anybody know what time it really is? Our closing song for last Wednesday. So how are you? What's going on in your lives? Lainey, I'm with you. I love playing with the universe too, and the universe has got not only a great sense of humor, but it's fun to play with. It is. It is. Miracles are flat out fun. They are. They really are. And I'm working on a few right now. I'm looking down here. This is my prayer list, which gets longer and shorter depending upon what's going on. What would you like to add to it or report on from it? Heidi's going to make up a T-shirt. Yes, Heidi. No, I'm just... Okay, that's funny. I'll buy one. I'll buy one, and I'll give it to CAC. Did you see what? Heidi's going to have a T-shirt made that says, "I used to be cool. Now I'm just cold." Oh. Oh. I'd buy one of those for you. She's always cold.
You're so kind to me.
I know I am. I know I am. I try always to be kind. It doesn't always work, but I do try.
You are.
Yeah, but talking is so good, isn't it, Jen? Isn't it? It just feels good. That's kind of a good connecting time when the rest of the world is, and you can just talk. That's nice. But yeah, now we're on top of it. Morning comes real early. Yeah, I see the pictures that you post, my dear. Yeah. They're cute, those little ones, They're cute, and if you love them a lot, I believe they grow up to be really cool adults. So just keep loving her. Just keep loving her. So, prayer requests, you know where to put them. Let me know. Give me an update if you can on stuff I'm already praying for. I mentioned Wednesday, and I have to mention again. I love that connection. I really love including all of you in my prayers. And I usually throw in something toward the end that says, and even for those who didn't ask for anything, if there's anything they need, let's just take care of that because all that there is God, and God knows I don't have to know. But I do like to be part of it. I loved being involved in Ayla's wedding in New Jersey. I felt like I was there. And then Lainey, when you sent the pictures, oh. If you get a chance, Lainey, go ahead and post one of those so that the people who knew Ayla when she was, can see how beautiful she is and how happy she looks. Are we getting too much clarity, Heidi? That can happen. How are the enzymes? Yeah, Jennifer, I thought you might want to see. So Heidi, yes, we can take it. Well, we can tone it down. Why don't we tone it down? Yeah, sometimes you gotta watch what you ask for. Good going, Kirk. Proud of you. Proud of you. Yeah. Okay, we'll tone it. All right. Tone it down works. Okay, done. Done. Back off, universe. Heidi would like a little less clarity, please. I wonder how that works. I'm sure the universe can figure it out. It confuses me. Okay, Heidi, glad to hear that. Holding steady, in harmony, yay.
Just ask for a filter.
A filter? A filter would be good. Oh, CAC suggests that instead of even toning it down, we just need a filter. How about that? Maybe you can just post, don't do it on the Facebook Live spot. How do you post on Facebook Live?
You don't. You post it on her site and give a link to us. Tell her to post a link to her Facebook page for us. We can go there.
Okay. If you didn't hear that, what Kat just said was post it on your page and then post a link to your page here. And then everybody can see pictures of beautiful Ayla on her wedding day. Okay. One filter coming up for Heidi. Heidi needs a filter. There are worse things to need. That's not bad at all. So the rest of you be thinking on it. I want to talk to you today about relevant spirituality, which of course is kind of the name of my other Facebook page and the name of the organization, because I thought that was kind of important. And several people have said, why those words? Why? So I just kind of want to talk about that today, if you don't mind. So I will. So here's kind of how it all started. A lot of us, a lot of people, a growing number of people, like to say that they are spiritual but not religious. Great. So here's a question. If you were stopped by the police tomorrow and arrested for being spiritual, would there be sufficient evidence to convict you? Is your spirituality an active element in your everyday life? Does it show up at work with you? Does it attend family gatherings? That can be a real test. Can you take it to school or to the golf course or to the homeless shelter or to the hospital? Is it there for you in crisis, in confusion, in fear, in chaos? Is it there for you in times of indecision? Does it stay up with you on restless nights and rest your weary mind? Does your spirituality lift your spirits? Not just when you're here with us on Wednesdays and Sundays, or when you're in buildings with pointy roofs, but wherever you are, whenever, whatever is going on. Does it guide your decisions? Does it empower your thinking? Does it give you both peace and power? Does it direct your actions? Really? Does it? Does it enable you to love the unlovable? To persevere when the odds seem to be stacked against you? To dare even when you want to run? It should. Relevant spirituality does. More and more people today tell me that they are spiritual but not religious. I hear it a lot when I get calls about weddings. That claim is often accompanied by a kind of smug smile and a look of impending rapture. Too often the claim is not so much a matter of substantial fact, but a way of explaining that the speaker believes in something, but shouldn't be expected to show up in a church, or a synagogue, or a mosque, or a temple, or an ashram. No one gets off the hook here. Or is it the result of a misguided understanding of what it really means to be spiritual? See, being spiritual is more than just a feel-good philosophy. It's a commitment to a life of conscious awareness. And being spiritual is more than believing that there is a power out there somewhere that humanity is akin to. Being spiritual is a discipline. And like any discipline, it has certain requirements that must be met before we can call ourselves a member of that club. Granted, most of those who call themselves spiritual but not religious are actually saying, I belonged to a club once, meaning I was or my parents were card-carrying members of an organized religion. But I didn't like the rules, or the rules didn't make any sense to me, so I just don't join clubs like that anymore. Fair enough. Organized religion has put off or misled many a spiritual seeker. By definition, religion, which means to retie or relink or reunite, is intended to reconnect people to their spiritual heritage, to point humanity in the direction of connectedness and wise spiritual choices. A good thing, a great aim. It just doesn't always seem to work out that way. Organized religion, that is, any religion with a roof over its head and a mortgage to pay, however pure or noble might be its original intention, ultimately creates dogma and doctrine to ensure that the faithful are tightly tied to it, thereby ensuring entrance into heaven for the faithful and continued existence for the organization. Unfortunately, those same rules and regulations are often counterintuitive and play down or negate the importance of individual spiritual experience and individual responsibility. The rules, by their nature, seek to limit freedom of choice and personal expression, and only create roadblocks and detours for the earthbound being who is trying to make a connection between deity and daily life. All of which is interesting, considering that historically, organized religion has been all about the choice to believe and behave differently. Pagans chose to explain the unexplainable by seeing gods in everything around them. Gods in the trees, gods in the water, gods in the sky. Ultimately, the people of the priests and priestesses organized and built temples for worshiping the gods. Sometime later, the Jews chose to organize around a belief in one God instead of many gods. Although if you read the small print in the Bible, it really does suggest that it is the one head God and that there still are lesser gods, but that kind of gets overlooked. Anyway, that's a whole nother talk. Then Catholics organized because they chose to believe that Jesus was indeed the Messiah that the Jews had been waiting for, although it appeared that the Jews had missed it. Lutherans chose to reorganize because they didn't believe in the infallibility of the Pope. The Church of England was organized when Henry VIII made a similar choice, albeit for different and more personal reasons. Throughout the ages, around the world, groups of people have broken off from one organized religion because they didn't agree with the rules and started a new organized religion. Unfortunately, the new religion also ended up with a mortgage to pay. Let me make myself clear. I'm not saying religion is wrong and bad. I'm not. Religion has been responsible for some of the greatest moments and has inspired some of the most amazing masterpieces in human history. My point is simply that spirituality and religion are not necessarily the same thing. Religion forms a club. They ask you to join. Spirituality tends to form alliances. There are no meetings, no dues. Religion often creates separation, as in my club is better than your club, my God is better than your God, or my rules are right and your rules are wrong. Spirituality seeks to build bridges. Religion tells people what to think and how to act. Spirituality invites people to think for themselves and act in accordance with their highest thought. Intrinsically, they are not mutually exclusive, though in some cases they may behave as though they are. And that can come from either side. Ultimately, religion is a group event, while spirituality is a personal choice. One can, in fact, be spiritual but not religious. And unfortunately, one can also be religious but not spiritual. Of course, one can also be both spiritual and religious. I don't claim to know more about all of this than the great theological minds of any era. But what I do know is that all religions teach their interpretation of the relationship between humanity and its source, using the language and the metaphors of the time in which they are founded. Source is eternal, and true spiritual laws, as opposed to dogma and doctrine, are absolute. But these can only be revealed to a people or to an individual in words and symbols that they can understand. In short, our knowledge of source at any given time is only as good as we are smart. The more we know about the workings of the universe, the closer we can come to an understanding of our relationship with its creator. But we don't yet know it all. How could we? Most of what we are currently taught about source what it is, what it expects of us, what it does or does not want for us or from us, is based on teachings that are now over 2,000 years old. Those lessons were appropriate. They were progressive then. But today they belong to another age and time. As our information about the universe expands, so too must our understanding of our relationship to it. We must be constantly reviewing and updating the rules of our engagement with the infinite. It's not such an outrageous concept as it may seem to be on the surface. Moses in his time was a wise and progressive leader. The principles behind the 10 Commandments, love God and take nothing from your neighbor, are as applicable today as they were nearly 4,000 years ago. Then 1,500 years after Moses and the commandments, a young rabbi saw that the law was being misinterpreted. And realizing that things needed to be updated and clarified, he brought the people a new commandment. One more, he said, one more. Love one another. Moses wrote a code of conduct. Jesus updated it. Moses said God works miracles. Jesus said, I work miracles through the power of the Father within me. And then he added, just in case you missed it, the works that I do, you shall do, and greater works than these shall you do. Arguably, with the advances in science and medicine, we've done some greater works. But on an individual level, most of us have fallen a little bit short of the prophecy. Why? Why are we not all working miracles? Why are we not all living miraculous lives? Maybe it's because, unlike Moses and Jesus and most of the world's great mystics and prophets, we've been unwilling to admit that a great deal of our religion is not particularly relevant to what is occurring in our daily lives. It needs to be updated. In the past 2,000 years, we've learned a lot. A great deal about the cosmos, a great deal about our world, a great deal about ourselves. But we haven't, for the most part, kept our religious beliefs updated and in alignment with what we've learned. Love God and don't take from your neighbors was a really important life lesson 3,500 years ago. That and love one another have sent a very specific message. It has been 2,000 years, and isn't it time for other principles to emerge? Isn't it time for all of that and love thyself? Because without self-love, it's very difficult to really love anyone or anything else, even Source. And at the same time, not just love other people, but work for the greater good of humanity. Here's a message for our time. We can work miracles. We can heal our bodies, our minds, our lives, and our planet. Here's the way. Love God. Love one another. Love yourself. And work for the greater good. To get to that place, to work the miracles, we have to rethink our relationship with Source and with one another. with the best of intentions or not, religion, in its interpretation of the divine dance of life, has driven a wedge between humanity and the infinite. We have been told that we mere mortals did not have the capacity to fathom the mystery of it all, and that we needed to have intermediaries or intercessors or interpreters in order to understand and be understood by our source. With little left for it to do in the life of its creation, the source itself has been banished, sent off to a celestial throne in a kingdom many miles distance from the one we inhabit, in a land accessible only to the in-group, and certainly not to lowly creatures such as ourselves. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Source over there, the bulk of humanity grappling with reality here, and the space between littered with bureaucrats and rules and regulations. No wonder so many have felt that we are cut off from and ignored, or worse yet, forgotten by the infinite. According to what most of us seem to believe, the infinite is just too busy and too far away from our daily lives, and there's just too much red tape in the way. Intuitively, we sense that it shouldn't be that way, that we should be able to connect directly with our source. But having been tutored in the lowliness of our humanity, we haven't been given the information to get from here to there, nor the tools to help us build the road. Then someone comes along and says, I've been there. I've been there, and the road is not closed off. Or a personal experience suggests that we don't need someone or something else to connect us to our source. Or in the blink of an eye, something happens that enlightens our perspective and suggests that source might still have a stake in our lives. We begin to consider the possibility that we are not just lowly, dusty humans, but might in fact be more. That there might be something source-like about us. That there might just be a higher purpose to our existence. It was Teilhard de Chardin who wrote, "We are not human beings having a spiritual experience, but spiritual beings having a human experience." If we really pay attention to that, it changes everything. True, at our source, at our core, we are first, last, and always spiritual beings. Have not all the great mystics and holy ones repeated some version of all of you are children of the Most High? Jesus said that Source was our Father. There's not a lot of room for misinterpretation there. Here's a blinding flash of what should be obvious. Whether you believe in the creation story or the Big Bang Theory, everything had to start with something. Call it what you will. Intelligence or God or spirit or nature. Something pre-existed humanity's eventual entrance onto the stage of life. That something is, by definition, the source. And since everything that is made from that source, because by definition nothing preceded it, we too have been created from source itself. We are not just mere mortals. We have divine DNA. We are indeed spiritual beings. But before you decide that you have inherited the kingdom and can retire on the proceeds, take note of this. Just calling yourself spiritual and feeling all warm and fuzzy about it is not the same thing as living a spiritual life. Just because you own the car doesn't mean you know how to drive it. Spirituality is twofold. There is that which you are born with, and there is that which you have chosen to incorporate into your life. We are all born spiritual beings, just as we are all born Homo sapiens. We did nothing to earn it. We can't change it. We can't get rid of it. We can only choose to let it be a defining part of our life or ignore it. Our choice is what leads to the quality of Desjardins' human experience. The choice to call ourselves spiritual beings is about as life-changing and meaningful as the choice to call ourselves human beings. It is simply a statement of what is. That and 50 cents won't even buy you a decent cup of coffee, let alone a good cappuccino. It does not make you special to be a spiritual being. Everyone is. Even that annoying, misguided, thoughtless individual that cuts you off on the freeway. What will make you and your life special is the choice to live every day with a spirituality that is relevant to your life. Relevant, adjective. From the Latin relevare, to raise up, which means having significant and demonstrable bearing on the matter at hand, and affording evidence tending to prove or disprove the matter at issue. Synonyms are pertinent, applicable, germane. Real, relevant spirituality is not observed one day a week or night, nor is it exclusively to a time of prayer or meditation. Relevant spirituality, while it may be nurtured by showing up at a spiritual center or by time spent in conversation with the infinite, must be something that we can take to the streets. Something that changes us and the world for good. A spirituality that is relevant does more than assuage the anger or feed the ego of a God that is several steps removed from our lives. A spirituality that is relevant heals hearts and minds, transforms circumstances, changes lives for the better, and inspires action that changes everything. Action that supports the enhancement of all humanity. Yours, mine, ours, theirs, whoever you or they may be. Living with relevant spirituality doesn't have to be difficult. It's based on a few simple concepts. Concepts that can and will support you and your life, whatever your religious beliefs may be. Here simply is what is required of you. Have a relevant, vibrant, living, life-enhancing spirituality. You must be willing to believe deeply, to love fully, and to recognize that all life, including yours, is a work in progress, and learn to work with that. Believe in Source. Proof of it is all around you. We did not create this life alone. Believe in yourself. You've made it this far in spite of God knows what. You've brought yourself this far. Now it's time to go farther. And believe in humanity. I know I watch the evening news. I know. And sometimes it's hard to believe in humanity, but we must. And remember that it's the news because it is different than usual. It is not the norm. Love your source, love yourself, love humanity. Work with source. Work on yourself. Work for humanity. There's more, of course. But for now, know that belief, love, and the willingness to work are at the heart of a relevant spirituality. Know, too, that you don't have to go into the world alone, unprepared or unarmed. Relevant spirituality isn't complicated. There are simple practices that you can easily incorporate into your daily life. Simple tools that are as accessible and more powerful than any application you can get for your smartphone. Stick with us on Sundays at noon and Wednesdays at 7, and we'll talk about spiritual practices that you can put to use in your life that will make living with a relevant spirituality second nature. Or is it first nature? You choose. So, there you have it, my explanation of relevant spirituality and why I chose those words and that thought and that idea and why I call it that. Let me know what you think. I think sometimes we can all get caught up in woo-woo spirituality, if you will. I mean, I really do hear more and more all the time when people call me for weddings saying, well, you know, we're not really religious. So we're spiritual. Because I guess somebody told them that it's good to be spiritual and it's not so hot to be, or they just didn't care to be religious, which is probably more closer to the truth. What about you? See, I think relevant spirituality is a practical thing. If you're not living with it in your daily life, then what's the point? I mean, it's kind of feel good. I'm spiritual. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. So is everybody else. But how does that show up in your life? And is it working for you, or is it just kind of sitting around? It's kind of like saying, you know, I have green eyes. That's nice. So? I'm just more and more looking at ways to really make spirituality relevant. Now, I have friends who are religious. And it works for them. It works for them. And they're doing some good in the world. They are. And praying for our immortal souls, I'm sure, because they really do kind of think we're probably going to go to hell if we don't say the right words. And I've more than once talked about, you know, my oldest and dearest friend who was worried about me, and I said, pray. I accept all prayers. That's just fine. But if I say the words, know that they're going to mean something different to me than they mean to you. Lots to think about. Good, Heidi. Thank you. That's kind of, and Jennifer too. Good. We all forget, Jennifer, and that's why I say, you know, it's about recognizing that we are a work in progress. We are more consciously spiritual than we were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 40 years ago. And we can be more. We can be more. Great, Heidi. See, that's it. If you allow your spirituality to be your guide, if you stop and listen to that inner voice, how often do we say later, oh, you know, something was telling me, but. There just should be no but. When that something is telling you, pay attention. The still small voice sometimes screams. Pay attention. And I love this. Heidi says, I have a spiritual toolbox. I try to stay open to more tools daily. Yeah, they're all around us. They're all around us. They really are. And it is up to us to find them and use them. And there is a tool, I think, for every occasion. Don't worry, you won't get weighed down. They're all very lightweight. Sometimes it's as simple as just knowing the truth in the moment, period. Don't have to do anything. Other times you need to do something. You're called to do something. Pay attention. Pay attention. Paying attention is huge. Huge. We pay attention so much to the world around us and what is going on and what other people are saying, I think, and we forget that where we need to pay attention is in this 18-inch space between our mind and our heart, where Spirit tries to communicate with us. And the more open you are to it, the more we say, okay, I know it's there. I know I've listened before and it's worked, and I've not listened and it hasn't worked. I know all of that. The more we pay attention, the greater our level of success will be. And the more it will speak to us, because we will hear it more clearly. We'll be used to it. I think we start out, stay open and listen. Stay open and listen. Remember, stay open and listen. Remember, stay open and listen. And when you feel disconnected, and we all do sometimes, something kind of hits us like a 2x4 and we go, what's that? Stop. Stop. Be still and know. Know what? Know that I am a place where God is. I am a place where power is. I am a place where peace is. I am that. It changes everything. Changes everything. Changes your response, which changes the reaction, which changes the situation. Changes everything. Absolutely, Lainey. And you're coming home tomorrow, if I remember correctly? Thank you, Heidi. That's beautiful. Well, I like to think of Wednesdays and Sundays as further education as well. And we all have the tools, but I love what you've said. It doesn't always mean that I know how to use them or remember to use them. Don't we sometimes stop and think, oh gosh, I could have, yeah, well, all right. So I didn't. And the thing to do, I think a really important thing to do is not to beat yourself up if you forget. Not to beat yourself up if you don't use what you've got. Just notice what happens and make a commitment to yourself to stop next time and think and remember. Yeah? Yeah. Okay. Absolutely, Lainey, we will be... Kirk, you get me every time. Everyone's a perfect something, Kirk, is the thing to remember. And sometimes you have to acknowledge that they are a perfect something you don't want to be. Okay, Lainey, we're with you. We're with you. Prayers are, yeah, yeah. Yeah, take care of the mother of the bride after all. We're with you. You guys are wonderful. I love you. I just love you. I just do. You make my Sunday, you make my Wednesday, and I think about you during the week and go, yep, they're there. I know they're there. The anti-namaste. Okay, the God in me doesn't see the God in you. I love that. I love that. That's really good. Oh, you guys are wonderful. You really are. So we're going to all pray Lainey safely home. See if we can even get her in a little bit early. Why not? Safe, uneventful trip. You know, we don't want plane trips to be eventful, do we? We want them to just be calm. Let me sit down in my little seat. Let the plane take off gently. Make it go through the air really nicely and put itself down very gently and let me get off this thing. Okay. We got you, Lainey. You are so covered. In the meantime, I have to take the hammer out of Heidi's hand. Hammers are good. Hammers are good, if nails are what you're aiming for. Yeah. It's knowing what tool to use when. And you know, that applies to spiritual tools as well. There's a time to pray, there's a time to meditate, there's a time to speak up, there's a time to take action, there's a time to step back. Like the good book says, a time for every purpose under heaven. Let's pray. We gotta pray Lainey home. So close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. Otherwise, just soft focus. You know what to do. But turn your attention inward rather than outward. You know, that's unless, detour here, that's unless you happen to be in a spectacularly wonderful outdoor setting or in view of something like that where looking at that would make you feel even closer to source than closing your eyes. Just focus on what brings you to an awareness of source. And know that all that there is God. Everyone, everything, everyone, everything. Is that spirit expressing? Sometimes there are those who are more conscious of it than others. And that presents us with a clear namaste moment. And sometimes we have to look harder. And sometimes we have to look with our spirit or with our heart rather than with our eyes, because our eyes buy the illusion. But all that there is God. That's what we need to remember. And so, I know today, speaking this word for each and every one of us and those who could not be with us, I know that the God within each of them is awakened. And their consciousness is awakened to the truth of their being. And in that awakening, healing happens. Healing of mind, healing of body, healing of spirit, healing of soul, healing of life circumstances. And wonderful things begin to happen. Some even appear to be what is called miraculous. But we know in our heart of hearts that it is simply the awakening of the consciousness of the presence of God. And so we claim that today for everyone. An awakening. A conscious recognition of the presence of God within. And we claim for everyone the working out of that which appears to be healing, miraculous, wonderful, awesome in their lives. And the blind see and the lame walk. And those who appeared to be on a deathbed are re-enlivened. And planes fly safely, carrying those we love. And minds are cleared, decisions come more easily, guidance appears where it is needed. Bodies are healed and strong, and back in alignment with the perfect blueprint at the center of their being. It's all we need to know. That wherever there seems to be something out of whack, right there in the middle of that, there is God. And so there is unlimited possibility. There is all probability. There is miraculousness. And we see it this week in our lives and in the lives of those that we love. Miracles great and small. From the little tiniest things to the greatest and grandest. To the from the highly probable to the it would take a miracle. We see all of that unfolding, becoming, realizing. And with grateful hearts, we simply keep our minds, our hearts, and our eyes open and behold the presence of God. And we are so grateful for what we see and feel and experience. And let it be so. And so it is. It will indeed be a wonderful trip home. We have our closing song, little Dolly Parton. How perfect. Old time religion?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, my friends, I love you. I will see you Wednesday. Have the most amazing week. Keep track of the miracles. Let me know, big and small, they all count, because it's all the same to God. See you Wednesday.